Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Titan Souls. So we're at the boss. I've already spoiled that there's a secret final boss that we should be able to get to after this, but I imagine it's gonna potentially take an entire hour just to beat this guy. So I've seen like one video of people doing it, and I feel like the trick here is almost to uh, get lucky. Because when you shoot at this guy, he moves in the opposite direction. And then actually it seems like he moves in the same direction the first shot every time. So wouldn't that mean that if I just angled this quite this way? Yeah, that almost looks like it would hit him. If it goes through the glowing white soul into the body in the background. Now, is that body my body or is that body somebody else's body? Is a good question to ask. Because it's possible that there was somebody else that had taken out all the Titans, and this is what he became. I think probably I also need to not pull back all the way. See, and he has to go and pick up his arrow. And after he does, he seems to jump. And so there would be a second opportunity to fight there. It seems like as soon as the arrow gets near him, or he picks up his own arrow, we can do it. I didn't get great guidance online. So I can like try to duplicate what I saw the other people do, but only to a certain amount, and it really just feels like they got lucky, they got the footage of beating the boss, and then they were done for the day, and no explanation of any real high level strategies to beat them or helpful tips. Not that there probably is that much here. All these bosses really have felt like things that's just like, yes, yes you can win, but it's gonna be a fluke. It's not really gonna be strategy. I don't feel like there's a specific pixel you could stand here, fire, and hit. I also don't feel like I can hit the body if I fire through him. It's like, see, it seems like he's impervious, so I need to wait for him to do this, and then wait for him to go crazy himself, and that's after he fires the arrow a second time, and by the time he's fired the second arrow, it seems like we've already died. Let's see. I am tempted. So, like, he seems to, after firing an arrow, move right then. And that feels like the best time to try and target him. So half pull, see. But not the first, not always, I guess. Not always is that right. So I'm gonna try to, like a half pull there. That was more of a quarter of a pull, I guess. Man, I am sure I am ending up dead quite a lot. So the way they had it, they got him right here, they shot an arrow, it seemed to go right through him and hit the body. and they started right here. So, what of the actions that I saw them take were necessary actions and what were unnecessary? And frankly, it doesn't feel like what I'm doing is maneuvering the guy in the right direction. And it doesn't feel like rolling is a good way to avoid these arrows. Absolutely, they started right here. So maybe they came this way, and then maybe if I had hit him right then. There does seem to be some settings as far as just like which way he goes. Does he always go towards his arrow? Could that be it? Well, maybe that is the trick. Does he always jump towards his arrow? Because if I could make a straight line between where his arrow is and where I am, and then fire. Now I need my arrow back. Because he stole it. That's not gonna help. I think there's an achievement for something along that lines of letting me get my arrow. See, that one felt right through the body, and I bet he's just immortal in that first shot. That would be my guess. See, because that arrow was right on top of him. Alright, so trying to get it on the first shot's not gonna work. That first splits. There. So, man, maybe I should run away from him? See, this is the problem with trying to watch YouTube walkthroughs, is you just don't know what patch they're on. You don't know if they're playing on PC or PlayStation or Xbox One. And when it gets down to tight, like, controls, your mileage may drastically vary compared to what the footage they're showing you is. I just recorded a video where I gave accidentally the total wrong instructions to get an achievement, and it's like, I'm already done with the series. I can't really fix it other than just doing things that YouTube does not make easy to do, like editing out a precise small section, or putting an overlay or overdubbing the audio. Fortunately, that it wasn't a mistake that like really matters. I would hope somebody will call me out in the comments and say that's wrong, and I'll say yes, you're right, it was wrong. I certainly have made videos where I have not succeeded at things. This may be one of them. Let's see. I've got to figure out how to get him to do the freak out. So I've got to figure out how to stay alive. Suppose. Like right there. I think I got close there. Not really close, but at least in a decent distance away. Man. There is something to say about the movement speed in this game and what you're required to do. It often feels like it's an impossibility. You would actually have no chance of dodging projectiles or getting out of the way in time. This game heavily feels like one of those games where you just are going to die, even if you play perfectly. If you're in certain randomized situations, it feels like you're just going to lose. And that's really not my bag. I'm much more a fan of games secretly conspiring to make it so I actually succeed. Let's see. Like, the fact that that arrow just seems to home into right where I'm rolling every time doesn't seem right. It seems ridiculous. Like, I'm running. It should. I just like hit his arrow, and then what happened? Like, I wasn't even looking at me, so I don't know what. I don't even know what would have occurred then. What advantages do I have here? We're almost on an equal field, I think. Well, no, I think he has all the advantages because he can do the lightning things, and I certainly can't do that. It's like I could hit some buttons here just to make sure. Yeah, I would not use the right triggers. Right trigger and left trigger. I was using that, and I'm like, nope, that does not work at all, does it? You have to... You have to keep moving for the lightning bolts, too. This is really going to just be a lucky thing. It's like, bam. And then the arrow seems to move on itself. It did, it just like moved on its own. I swear it did. And then after I just got him to split, he immediately was able to fire at me. He dodged and fired really fast. And I must have just missed him completely there. I think I just drew his arrow towards me too. That seems strange. Like, yeah, it just comes right at me. Point first when I start drawing. Do I need to hit him with his arrow? So wait till it's about to fire, roll him. Let's get in the way of this and fire then. See, maybe if I could do a 180, get behind him. Maybe I should immediately hit him. Yeah, he's gonna try and jump to his arrow. So I do something like that, except for don't die. So I was gonna try and record this, like the whole duration of this. But I suppose if I have an hour, if I go a full hour and I don't succeed, I'll play off screen and just pause it after I get the hit. Because, I mean, is there really a reason? Let's see. Like, I can get that second shot, but then I've got to get away from the lightning. Yeah, is there really a reason for you to watch me do maybe another hour, maybe 2 hours more of this? Yeah, when his arrow is out, I have to be aware of that because it gets sucked to me and hits me. I literally am killing myself half this time. Yeah, so I think I will just play off screen and then we'll pause it right when I get the arrow in there. And then we can see the final boss, secret final boss. Yeah, this feels like I'm gonna have to maneuver a lot more. Come over here, get this. Nope. If there was only a way to potentially suck the arrow and hit him, which that might actually be the solution. I'm also noticing that, like, you have to go perpendicular to it. That felt like that was close. Probably wasn't, but it felt like it was close. Felt like I had that line I'm trying to get. So he's firing at a 45-degree angle, so I need to go at least 50 degrees one way or the other in the roll to get away from him. So he's like, man. And you have to be really precise on that timing. Let's see. Like, roll this way. And be really fast on it. I feel that's part of it too. I wish there was a way to start this fight without just, like, you can't walk up to him or anything. See, so yeah, I can be like right here with him, and he always wants to go back that direction. So maybe I could get really, really close to him, fire just the tiniest of a tap of an arrow, suck the arrow back, and then fire again. Yep. You can do it, but I don't think it helps anything. I don't think you'd ever win that way. So, perpendicular roll. That got the arrow back for him, so that was less than helpful. Alright. Fire here, get the arrow back. Get ready for this. Run this way. Run this way. Get ready for this. Now he did freak out for a second there for a reason I'm not certain. I'm not certain what triggered that. And he seems to always jump at a 45-degree angle, so you probably, it's either northwest or southeast that he goes. So maybe it's a 50-50 shot. And see, I'm certainly hitting the soul fine, but I need to hit the body when it's not protected by the soul. That was like a really nice shot I just did. Didn't help anything, but it got right in line to start the fight and then brought the arrow back. And see, yeah, I don't know what hitting the arrow does. It seems to kill me. I would have to assume it does. But it seems like everything kills me, so... Yeah, and I can't trigger him to jump. I need to realize this. I can't trigger him to jump and then have an arrow to trigger him to jump. So my efforts here are kind of pointless. He needs to jump on his own. That's the only time he's really vulnerable. Any other times he jumps, it's pointless. It won't help me. So opportunities appear to be more frequent than they actually are. And it seems very short amount of opportunities here anyways. Let's just run away from him. See, and this is the whole point. It's like, what I looked on walkthroughs that are written verbally, so I would hope they would give me more tips, and they didn't help. I looked for videos of people beating it, and I kept running into the same one. Admittedly, I only spent like 5 minutes trying to look for this, but do I have to go through, if the first 5 links on Google are still not showing me what I'm looking for? That's not good. It's not helpful. I wouldn't be surprised if that's partially because a lot of people want to see somebody else beat this game and not that many people actually want to do it themselves. I can imagine a good portion of players not even making it this far for how brutal these bosses can be. Just saying, well, I want to see somebody else do it, but I really don't care. Let's see. Now, I can tap, like, a tap does this. So I still have to, the shortest I can shoot an arrow is about that far. And so there, if I was faster, if I could really just tap the thing and be done with it, I think I could pull off this move a lot easier than what they're asking. It really is just get lucky. And see, this is scary because what do we even do with the secret final boss when we get to him? Because I'll tell you right now, spoiler alert, the secret final boss has like 3 stages. So you have to pull off 3 miracles. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna even do that. Or even if I did do it, what footage could I get of that? Am I gonna just show the credits at that point? Maybe I'll just play in silent and record myself playing it and do some post work on that. I don't know. It's all very new. It's a good thing this is a short game because it allows for me to experiment on different styles of recording. If this was a 20-30 hour game and with constantly difficult bosses that I had to spend a significant amount of extra time playing off screen, yeah, that wouldn't work. And not right now, at least. I don't have the idea in my head as far as how that would be pulled off. Let's try hitting the arrow when it's down, just to see what that does. So this guy's about to fire. Missed the arrow. It almost feels like that's the trick. But if he runs to the arrow, do I have to hit the arrow into him? Or do I have to hit the arrow when he's close to it? I mean, we're certainly getting feedback from that. So let's see what happens when he gets close, and then... I don't know. See, once he gets close to the arrow, he sucks it up pretty fast. Let's get on the other side of this. See how that worked. No, that feels like that would have done something, but it didn't. And again, this is nothing like what I saw. I saw somebody start it right here, right at this point, fire at him, run up in this direction, do something that I don't quite remember to get him to right about here, where I was right about here, and then he fired, and it went right through his body, and he jumped backwards, and it hit the body. Nothing about hitting the arrow. Nothing about anything else. And so the only thing I can take from that is maybe I'm just supposed to constantly take aim and fire. He did have one arrow out at that point, so I think he can't probably defeat my arrow and cause them to conflict. But honestly, the video I saw, I think he just got lucky. I think they just got lucky. Whoever's playing probably sat for a couple hours playing and just, this is the one run where it worked. And like all the other monsters, you really have to be very careful and not careful at the same time with your life. Because if you're too careful, you waste your milliseconds of opportunity to win, and if you're not careful enough, you die, and then you're forced back into trying again. On a deep emotional level, you could argue that that's what the feelings they were going for in this game is just this constant cycle of having to try over and over again and finally feeling successful the one time you did actually accomplish it. But I think that's probably just a cop-out for a game being too difficult. Remember, we're just playing on easy. I mean, this is the default difficulty level here. And I think 30 minutes into doing this boss, we should have at least a better understanding of what we're supposed to do, and we don't. It feels like I'm gonna need to do 2 rolls to get around them. So, if I was to guess, I should probably be really far away. Interesting, it's not triggering. Either I am doing a very bad job at hitting. Alright, so now a couple of rolls. As the lightning's approaching me, I have to hit him. And it's always gonna be that scenario. If I'm aiming for him, as soon as he fires here, the lightning comes. And so I would have to, under that timer of the lightning just homing in on me, take the shot. So, but I also have to hit him before he gets his arrow, because it seems like he can just use the arrow as an excuse or a deflector. And see, there it looked like I was dragging my own arrow and we were fighting over it, but then he fired his arrow and it bounced. And is this really fun to watch? Is it even really fun to play? It's kind of hard to make that statement just straight off the top. I'm not a fan of sitting here banging my head against the wall in any game. I'm not super frustrated with this game, which is a compliment to it, because I have certainly been frustrated with other games that have done similar things. But I almost want a help system, like the more you die, the more health you get, or just a way to skip it, although skipping the boss fight sounds like a bad move for the final boss. But a health system would certainly help. If I could get hit once, after dying 50 times, after spending 30 minutes on it, like something purely optional, I would say, where it's like, if right here on the right, it just gave you a shield, and one hit shield, or a heart, and then like after 50 times a heart appeared, after another 50 times 2 hearts appear, and they just appear each time, and then 3, and then eventually there's like 8 hearts circling you. I wouldn't be upset with that. As long as there was a path so you didn't have to pick up any of the hearts, if you still wanted to do it with one heart. And then you could certainly put your achievements in there instead of doing this hard mode that this game has afterwards, which can only mean that either you have to hit the guy twice or you have to do something else. You have to, they're twice as fast or twice as difficult, and I don't know. I wouldn't want that. I certainly wouldn't want it twice as difficult. Or, oh, hard mode might also be an Iron Man mode too. It might be like you can't die at all. No respawning. Which, that would be annoying. See, and your audience for a game like this is going to be so limited to a small group of people that are going to really want to put their effort into this right when it first comes out, and then that's about it. I don't think a speed run of this would end up on like the Game's Done Quick series in a year later, maybe a year or two later, but it's not going to be played 5 years from now and remember there's something that is something people want to really speed run. Mostly because this game is kind of pandering to it too much. See, and why that doesn't knock him out when I hit the arrow is annoying. It was right on him. I figure that should be fair. It should only be fair that and see, that got him right to the arrow. I don't know if what I'm doing is right. There's nothing in the game particularly that has told me anything. Let's point that out for a second. There's been exactly zero guidance in this saying, do this, don't do that. All we've gotten is cruel punishment for every attempt, and so each approach right now, all I can do is label each one as equally invalid. The only thing, if I was gonna like program a computer to figure out how to play this game, the only thing I could do is say, well, take the time you've managed to stay alive and try to increase that number, and that would just end up with an AI bot that was really good at running away and yet never succeeding because it wouldn't ever try to shoot. Since there is no win scenario that we've seen that's been successful. What in the world was that? It was right next to me. If I had just been fast enough, I would have been able to hit it. That's probably why I'm not seeing a way to win, is I'm spending so much time trying to get that first shot off and not recognizing the next shot. So is this even a good boss for compared to the other bosses we've seen? I would say no, it probably isn't. It kind of violates the rules of every other boss except for the knight. The knight is the only one that had a moment in which he had to be made vulnerable, then hit the second time. And I guess the brain early on in the game needed to be melted out of his eyes. But most of the other bosses just had a weak spot. And when you hit the weak spot, you hit the weak spot, and that was it. And sometimes the weak spot was behind them, and sometimes it was hidden behind a plant. There was a lot of stuff you could do with that plant, though. If I ended up having to stay alive and go through it like for probably 4 or 5 minutes was the duration that the final fight took, just eliminating his dangerous vines. Maybe if I get in the way of the arrow and then fire at him, then he'll have no choice but to be right in the way of the arrow. That seems like some backward logic, though. I think I just swallowed his arrow completely, and then he shot another one. That's weird. So I'm in the way of the arrow. Yeah, and see, he would probably just shoot right past my arrow in that dash. Because the logic falls apart there, that he would dash into my arrow, he'd only dash after the arrow had passed the soul. So if I could retrieve it really fast, maybe. Again, that's not how I saw it beaten on YouTube. No, it really seemed like they just got lucky. That seems like all it was. Maybe shoot an arrow that way. Why not give us the boss that gave up at that point, where we had the dialogue and story going? Like, he would be a better final boss, because then they could just say everybody wins. Where, like, go easy on you. There's really no reason for the game to go easy on me at the very beginning, or just at a random point if I find that boss. It would be much better if it was switched around. And missed completely there. Or they could have, at the very least, had the really easy boss be in the middle between the last golem and this guy. That way you could have some falling action and rising action. If that would be a good place for him too. He's just in the wrong, story-wise, in the wrong location. 45 minutes into this, and not a single bit has been learned. Am I learning muscle memory? Maybe. I mean, you can always argue that, but I can also argue the opposite of that. It may be just wearing out my fingers, causing my sadly arthritic fingers to become sore. So, I mean, it's really hard to tell. Maybe I need to put the game down for a while and come back. That wouldn't even really make a sense, because this is... I've only been playing for about an hour and 45 minutes for this day, and I haven't played Titan Souls at all for yesterday or the day before. So then that's a kind of invalid argument too. And all I figured out is how to trigger him. Here we could see maybe the true solution is just to leave. Just give up. I don't want to be a Titan, leave me alone. Yeah, nothing happens there. That would be funny if that was the credits, and then I triggered the credits on accident and could never beat the guy. I haven't even gotten better at avoiding these arrows. Even. See, what you could put as a story here, if they had were so inclined to put a story in this game, is that this was really a matter of some society created these platforms to reset people and end all death, and it just ran amok, and Titans soon became created because they didn't account for the power of the soul and all of that. That would be a decent backstory. Or at least explain the respawn pads a little bit. Not that they really need to be explained. And it feels like I'm just not taking enough hits. That you miss 100% of every shot you don't take, so I feel like I should probably just go in there and try to get a hit on them. Maybe establish a hit, then roll maneuver, like one here, and then roll 90 degrees, and then go get the arrow, and then take another shot. Maybe that could, at the very least, keep me in the fight, keep the guy razzled. But see, I want to roll to the arrow, and when I roll away from the guy and to the arrow, I'm still completely in line for his arrow. So let's... like, getting right next to him doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. It kind of doesn't even make sense to start the fight right next to him. But then it just gets back to the problem is I don't have that arrow. So he's not vulnerable at that moment. Even though it pretends like he is, he's only vulnerable when he does that on his own. And that's the only time. So the pattern actually needs to be something like dodge the arrow, roll, take aim, fire really fast. So dodge the arrow, roll, take aim, fire, dodge aim, arrow, roll. See, that would have been it. And then I have to wait for that charged bow. If he steals it though, that's really done me in. Yeah, you've pretty much lost if he gets your arrow. So, sadly, the best strategy I can think of, I think is right, but I can't even prove it. Let's see. He's gonna get that arrow, and then he shot that really fast. Is the speed in which he shoots determined by my distance? Well, I bet my accuracy is probably determined by the distance. So let's avoid this. Like, yeah, if I could have dodged and targeted right then, that would have won. So I kind of know what I need to do. Let's see. He's gonna fire. Fire. I was too far away. So I do need to get in tight with him, too. So this is gonna be real close quarters combat. Which means I'm gonna get hit a lot more. Which means this is gonna take longer. Already my thumb is starting to hurt. Just constantly pushing up on it to roll up on things. Pushing different directions on it. I guess I probably am rolling up a lot more than anything else. Like, I don't know if I can dodge it and be that far away. I may have to be further. Let's see. And see, that time I was so far away, he didn't do it. So there is a distance here. There's a right distance. If I had just aimed a little bit better, I think I would have gotten it. But unlike the other bosses, it seems it's kind of hard to even get into this scenario. And then you have that constant timer of the lightning. And there's going to be at least 2 lightning attacks out by the time you're in the right place. Because they're going to fire this time, and that first time he fires, it's not going to work at all. And I don't feel comfortable rolling to the southeast for some reason. I guess I just haven't done it a lot. That's where that muscle memory could be very easily just training me to do the wrong thing over and over again. This is why you have teachers in schools, and hopefully the teachers know the solutions to the problems. Otherwise you're potentially wasting your time and effort doing the wrong things over and over again. Yeah, if I had dodged that, it seems like there would have been plenty of time to pull back and get that arrow, but I also kind of wonder if maybe not. Maybe it just changes his actions. So this is it. So, but which way do I aim? That's a good question. It's like I have no idea which way he's gonna jump, so I don't know which way to aim. Here we go. Hey, I did it! I can't believe I did it! I am super surprised of that. Now look at the purple hair of that creature and the brown hair of mine. We're getting this purple energy, so I don't know if really that was my doppelganger or if that was somebody else. I think it was somebody else. just the person before me. I am so surprised I got this. Created by Acid Nerve, that is a decent name for a game like this because it is raw on the nerves. And 3 people. So, published by Digital Devolver, but created by 3 people. I've seen games made by 3 people that were a lot worse than this. And this was a pretty good game. It's just too difficult. It needs an easy mode. It needs to be a little bit cheaper too. I mean, sorry to say that, but for the time you spend on it, the only reason why it took me as long as I have no idea what it'll probably tell me, despite me wanting it to or not, how long it took me to do that. So hard mode, the real challenge. Iron mode, you only get 1 life, and no rolls, you cannot roll. So we now know what each of those 3 icons mean. I've killed 18 of the bosses. It took me 11 hours and 25 minutes and 30 seconds. I think that's what that means. It probably didn't take me 11 days, 25 hours and 30 minutes. So the truth is probably the eyeball one, and that's the name of the secret final boss. So we got all those new game modes, and now the truth door. And fortunately, that's really, really lucky. So there's no reason to go try to beat the truth now. It's highly, highly unlikely I would beat it in 3 minutes. So, if this was as far as you got because you didn't beat all the other bosses, I guess you have some small sense of pride of doing something very difficult. But I would think a vast majority of players would have preferred 3 hearts at least, or maybe even 2 hearts, or a help system that gave you hearts as you died more and more. You see, I died 603 times, and this game wants people to not die any times. It's not realistic. How many times would you have to go through this at 11 hours the first time, and then how many hours would it be the second time? 6? And then how many hours would it be the next time? 3? You'd still probably have to play the game 4 or 5 times before you got down to an hour and a half for each run through. And to become this expert, the speed runner of this game, just seems like too much work for too little reward. And it seems to be the wrong type of player to design your entire game around, which really feels like it is. Let's see, if we go into the options, do we have anything else we could do now? No, we could just put the options in that language, but I don't know if that would even change the names of the characters if I go back and play it again. The secret now, after we beat the truth, is we will see the names of each of the characters, so there is that slight reason why you'd want to go and try and beat the boss again on hard mode, but man, no, not for me. Anywho, that's going to be it for this recording. Next recording, if we get really, really lucky, we'll take on the secret final boss, and then that'll be it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right will be a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.